But yeah, I'm starting to realize that that is a hard thing, and I'm starting to understand why some of you guys have difficulties with that. Hey guys, my name is Rachel. If you're new here, welcome. I'm just sharing my journey to healing from years of severe chronic illness through the carnivore diets and other natural methods of healing. And at this point, I am getting close to a year on the carnivore diet. I'm about 11 and a half months in. Things are actually going really well. For those of you that aren't familiar with my story, when I started the carnivore diet, I was essentially bedbound, only able to be out of bed for about an hour a day. And now at this point, almost a year in, I hardly have to spend any time in bed at all during the day, and I'm able to go out and do things. I'm able to drive, I'm able to cook my own meals, and so many things that I previously was not able to do. And I'm super thankful for all the progress that I've made. I think about 6 months ago I made a video sharing pros and cons of the carnivore diet. I'll put a link to that video up here. One of the cons of the carnivore diet that I mentioned was the social aspects. And this is something that, at least from what I've heard and what I've read, is probably one of the very hardest parts about doing the carnivore diet, just because everything in our society really revolves around food, events, parties, dinners, just everything that you do when you go out into the world typically involves eating. And so that makes it really difficult for people that are doing something like the carnivore diet when we're eating in a very different way than other people around us. And honestly, for me, in my own journey, I was so sick that I wasn't able to go out and do things. I wasn't able to go out and meet people. So that's something that just wasn't a thing for me until I really started to improve in my functionality and my energy and ability to like go out and be around people. And I started to come across my first couple of situations where it just was a little bit hard. I think for me, one of the biggest things is I really just like to kind of like lay low and not draw attention to myself in big groups. And sometimes when you're not eating something, or the only one that's not eating, or you brought your own food, that kind of draws attention to you and people ask questions, which I'm totally okay with. But sometimes I just kind of want to like fit in. I miss being able to have that shared experience of eating with other people, and I think there is something to be said for that. Honestly, for me, because I wasn't able to do those things in the past, it still doesn't seem like such a big deal, but I can see that being a really big deal for people who love going out to eat with friends and going to social events. It can be hard to stick to the carnivore diet. So for example, we went to Utah just a couple weeks ago to visit Jake's family, and we went out to quite a few restaurants, and I would just sit there and not eat, which is a little bit uncomfortable, like I will admit. And honestly, for me, like mentally, I'm totally to the point where I'm okay with watching other people eat things that I used to enjoy eating, but I know that that takes a while to get there. So if you're struggling with that, then just try to make sure that you bring something with you to eat, or you eat before, because there's nothing worse than being hungry and watching other people eat when you don't have anything that you can eat yourself. But yeah, I would say that's probably the hardest thing about the carnivore diet. I'm just learning how to navigate that now, and how to explain my situation and why I'm doing what I'm doing to people that I don't know, people that I meet in real life, that I encounter in social situations. And yeah, some people love that. Some people love sharing about their way of eating and stuff like that. Personally, I know it sounds crazy because I share all these things on the internet, but in real life, I kind of just like to keep these things to myself unless I'm asked about it, and just kind of blend in and try to fit in. For some reason, it's just so much easier for me to talk about my journey and what I'm doing to a camera to you guys on the internet that I may not know in real life. But yeah, I'm starting to realize that that is a hard thing, and I'm starting to understand why some of you guys have difficulties with that. And I think some of the things that have helped me the most is just remembering why I'm doing what I'm doing. That for me has been pretty easy, just because of the functionality that I've gained back. And a lot of times when I go to these events, I'm reminded, like, a year ago I couldn't have done this. a year ago I couldn't have been here, and it's largely in part because of the way that I'm eating that I'm able to be here. And so I just try to focus on being thankful to be able to enjoy those experiences with my family and my friends. Another thing that really helps is just making sure that I've eaten before I go out to eat or to some sort of social events, because being hungry, like I said before, while watching other people eat is just not a good combination. And then another thing that I really like to do is bring some food with me. Sometimes if my family has dinners, I will cook something and put it into a thermos and just bring it and eat along with everybody else. And so sometimes I'll bring like a full meal with me. Sometimes I will bring some sort of snack like Carnivore Snax or Carnivore Bars. I'll put links to those down below. I really like having those on hand just because it's something I don't have to prepare, I don't have to cook. I can just grab it and take it with me anywhere. It doesn't need to be refrigerated. And my family never says anything about it, which I really like and I appreciate. And a lot of times, if you don't say anything, nobody else will either. Anyways, that's just been on my mind, so I thought that I would share with you guys because I know there will be quite a few of you that will relate. But overall, at least for me, the difficulties and the struggles and social situations with the carnivore diet are so worth it with all of the benefits that I've seen from eating this way. And thankfully it hasn't been too big of a deal for me, but I am starting to see what you guys are saying about it being a little bit tricky in social situations. So just know that I'm cheering you on and rooting for you guys, whatever point you may be on your healing journey. And let me know in the comments down below what you think the hardest part about the carnivore diet is. I'm curious. I think I'll wrap it up at that for today's video, but make sure to follow along on Instagram and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll look forward to seeing you guys in another video again soon.